Hello from sunny Delaware, Patty Swimler. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Got 5 people on board today. We have some really cool stuff happening. Special guest today, Holly Matson is returning and going to be doing some animal reiki today. It's going to be just bringing some love to your pets. So I think it's lovely. Holly will be coming on in a little bit. I have her muted right now because I have that power. I'm joking, of course. I love Holly. I've known Holly for, we were discussing it this morning. We have worked together for 14 years. And hello, Donna. How are you this morning? And Jenny Brown, of course. It's so good to see you as usual. Very good day today. Got a lot of cool stuff coming on today that I think that I'm going to share with you some things that you haven't seen me do before. And I think we're going to have some fun. I don't have a funny story for you this morning because I did not have the time to do that, but I have something else instead that I think you'll enjoy. Something completely unique. Good morning, Judith. How are you this morning? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's going to be a good day today. I think we are going to be going in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And then we're going, hello, for Oregon. Oh, gosh, I'm supposed to go to Oregon in May for a very quick stopover. My schedule got really strange because of events that I'm doing around that. The most important, of course, is my son's graduation. So I'm going to be flying in the morning and flying out the next morning. So won't be in Oregon for long, but I'll be there in May. And I think that we're going to have some fun stuff going on here. Excuse me if I'm just kind of stammering. I'm playing around with some technical stuff here in the studio, trying to make things go smoothly today with our guests and all the other stuff. Excellent. I'm glad you're doing well, Judith. Good morning, Robert. How are you this morning? I hope you're doing well. 2 minutes until we start this puppy. I got a little surprise for you coming up. A werewolf. There you go. There you go. That's a good one. You made me laugh this morning, Jenny. That's lovely. May is the perfect time to be in Oregon. I love, the couple times I've been to Oregon, I loved it. Of course, you have to go to Cannon Beach if you get a chance. That's beautiful. But I had a great time in Oregon. I loved it out there. Very beautiful. I've been very blessed in my life to travel all over. I've been to 30 countries and 29 states, and been all over the world, and have found beautiful people everywhere, and all of them have the same values. I ask all my audiences all over the world, what's the most important thing to them? And their number one answer in every corner of the world that I've been in is family. So I think that's just beautiful that we all have that same sort of idea. So we're about 30 seconds away from starting this puppy, and we are going to kick some morning butt. I'm going to unmute my guests so that I don't forget to do that later. And then, so Holly, if you're listening to me, I just hold on, be a little bit more quiet until this thing's done. So we'll see you in a bit. Welcome to the Live Loving live stream with John Davis.
I'm victorious in the vanquishing of my foe, bigger in fact I real bad.
For God.
For kings.
For country.
For beer. Beer. Amen. You may have wanted any time. Tonight to steal your sword. This is pointless. And no, it's you, El. If you kill me, you'll still be fat. If I kill you, you'll be dead and fat.
I believe satisfied that thou hast run out of options.
Thank you so. Well, if you will kindly direct your attention to the rear of the theater, I think you'll notice some trees.
Trees, yes, I see them.
Some rocks.
Rocks, I see them.
Other buildings.
Buildings,
And
yes.
if you look back, I think you'll notice I've gone and gotten my dagger.
Me too.
It's very fancy technique.
But actually, it's last way down.
Scissors.
They're stuck.
Oh, good. Die!
Thank you.
That is a slippery spot. Oh, no. He slipped on that 2 times, and I just slipped on it once.
So why'd you wait?
It'd be cool if that was water from India. It would be good, wouldn't it? That was a 2 deep breath. That was 1.
Is it 2 and then go, or 1 and then go, just 2?
I've already done my 2.
When this is through, sir, the ale was mine.
It was mine.
My ale.
Mine. Infinity.
Infinity? Plus what?
Infinity plus 2.
Infinity plus infinity.
Plus 1.
Here.
I hope you guys enjoyed that this morning. There's nothing that says live loving like a good sword fight. I'm very excited about bringing that to you. That was a rain day at the Maryland Renaissance Festival 14 years ago. Very exciting to be there and do that and to share that with you today. That was a very fun time of my life. And our special guest that's coming up later is I've known her and for a long time as a patron of Renaissance festivals, but we've worked together for 14 years. We just discussed before coming on, known each other for a very long time. One of the things that this morning I put out a video, my 21 days today on the water fast, and I'm a total overall 39 pounds down on the water fast so far. But one of the things it did do for me on the water fast is it gave me a lot of time and a lot of energy, and I've been funneling that into the studio and into the live stream itself. And so one of the things that I'm really excited about this live stream is I want to bring up the production value of the live stream and make it something that's really interesting to watch. And that's why if you look around here, you can see I put a frame around the screen, and my name flies in and my website flies in. And but to really take the production value up to another level, what you really need to get is a second camera. And so now we have a second camera. So this is obviously still the green screen, like I had my bricks on it. But this picture that you see behind me is the other set that's in my studio here with the lighting properly done. And that lighting, when it's not lit the way it's supposed to lit, I'm going to go to this other third camera, and this is what the room looks like without the proper lighting. But this is the setup. So I'm really enjoying bringing something unique and different. Before we get into a whole bunch of the things we're doing today, there's a couple things I want to ask about. One of them is I had a great suggestion the other day. People have been so wonderful helping me figure out ways to make a living doing this. And somebody keeps saying Patreon, and I look at Patreon and I'm like, I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. And then someone made a suggestion the other day, which I thought was an awesome suggestion. It was, how about doing weekly or bi-weekly webinars? Because they said the live streams are great because I come on and I answer questions directly, but doing a webinar where people could come on camera and use their mics and have back and forth conversations talking about what you believe, what I believe, and rather it being just, one-sided, my side, have it being an open conversation to really discuss and explore. And then I thought this other idea that I had, and I had mentioned it a long time ago, was the idea of creating a group that just studies universal truths and finding, researching universal truths. So I thought maybe I would do a membership site, kind of like Patreon, just something a little different. And then what people would get in that would be these webinars. They'd be able to come in and take part and be a part of that conversation. And we'd figure out other things as well, like discounts or whatever. But let me know if that would be something that you would be okay with, or do you think I would be, not would be a good idea. The other thing is that when it comes down to doing these live streams and everything else, I really want to make sure that we're doing good things in the world. And the other day I put out an episode, for Ukraine, and I really want us to take these times and where people are suffering elsewhere in the world and send that best intention, like I said in the video the other day. I really want us to have that. And towards the end of today's live stream, I'd like to do a collective prayer for that as well, because I think that's ongoing right now, and I think that there's a big change that I see happening in the world, and I think it's going for the positive. And I think one of the reasons we're having this big thing in Ukraine right now is not because the world is getting worse. It's because the people who are not coming along with us are starting to lash out. And I think that's when you look at the response we're getting, countries around the world are lining up to stop it because it's just not the right loving or moral thing to do that's happening from Russia. So think of this more as a crazy man lashing out in fear and trying to inflict more fear because he's losing, because that's exactly what's happening. And let's dive into that. Today I do have a special guest, and my special guest is someone who, as I said before, I've known for a very long time, and she and I have traversed this country doing spiritual events and just a lot of stuff. And she's one of my best friends, and she probably regrets that decision in a big way. But let's unmute my interview here, and let me go ahead and bring in my special guest, the lovely, the talented Miss Holly Matson. Hello, Holly Matson. How are you? I cannot hear you, Holly.
Hello, John Davis. I be peachy.
Oh, there you are. They came in peachy afterwards.
Okay.
You seem to be out.
You trying to hush me up.
You seem to be out of sync. I don't know if that's anything that's happening online. So go ahead and say something else. Let me just check over here on the YouTube. Say something, Holly.
Well, we're checking our transmissions, and everything is peachy.
Well, it's a little bit off, but I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. It's okay.
Us. That's right.
All right. So, Holly, I have to ask you a question. I have known you for
Uh-oh.
a long, a long, long time, as you and I both regret. Holly and I, just so you guys know, Holly and I are like brother and sister. We pick on each other. She picks on me for being tall. I pick on her for being small, and we just pick on each other because that's what we do. And but over the years, we've seen Holly go through so many phases of her life, just stepping out and really becoming her authentic self, and really doing some amazing stuff out there. And Holly, what brought you to specifically Reiki for animals?
I've been asked that before, and the answer pretty much remains the same. I found comfort and companionship and connection with animals at a very, very, very early age, like very early. And once I started to open up spiritually and go through various kinds of recovery and so forth, I realized that it was more than just, oh, I love animals. And especially once I got into my own healing and then discovered energy healing, the connection with animals was even stronger. And I started to realize that I was empathing, and making a verb out of that, empathing their own feelings and understanding more what was going on. And so I've been doing energy work on people and animals for a long time, but once I became Reiki attuned and it all opened up even more, I realized this was my opportunity to make a difference in the lives of the animals and not just the people. And the kinds of feedback and responses that I've been seeing just warm my heart. I mean, I see it with my own pets. When my last cat had a god awful oral tumor, I brought her a lot of comfort in her last days with the Reiki. I could see the difference in her demeanor. And so this has become my heart work. I have brain work, but this is my heart work. So it's my joy.
I love that you said my heart work and my brain work, because I think that's the biggest challenge that most of us have is we get too much in our heads and get more into our feelings is where the true connection to source is, in my opinion. And so and I've seen you do that over the years. I've seen you go from, well, and it's been an interesting transition, is watching you go from working in an office to slowly transitioning over to something that you just love and something you just enjoy. And it's been watching that shift, because it's like, okay, now I'm doing this because I'm doing this for myself. Now I'm doing this, plus I'm adding this. Now I'm doing this, I'm getting rid of that, right? And this slow transition. And it's really come down to the point where you really have found what you love and what you enjoy doing, and what feeds your soul, right? Now, most people on this channel know when I talk about people who are empathic, they all tend to be attracted more to animals because of the unconditional loving nature of animals. They tend to love without judging, without all these things. They tend to love unconditionally. They're very open booked, and so empathic people tend to go towards animals in general, because empathic people, that just feels better. It just feels better than the rest of the world. And I think a lot of people like yourself who come into this world vibrating a little higher, come in and they know what it's supposed to feel like here. It just doesn't. And so they create this space where they can go and be safe. And they go into that space. And a lot of times that space is filled with animals. And so,
and I think there's another aspect that fits exactly into that. It's everything you just said. In addition, because animals are so much of the earth plane and so much their instincts and their intelligence is so tied to the earth's energy, it's another way, and we'll talk about that in the meditation we're going to do. It's another way for us, empathic or not, but especially empathic, to connect even more strongly with the earth, because we're connecting kind of through a middleman in a sense.
Right. Yeah. And that's just it, and that's the other thing I think that most people need to realize, that they can consciously be the middleman. They can consciously be that connected to source person and do that. And that's to me, that's what living loving is going out and
Mhm.
consciously loving in the world and consciously bringing that expression, make people laugh, make people smile, have a good time with people. And you know and as like I said at the beginning of this, and if you can't figure out a way to do that, start sword fighting instead. That's so much more fun.
Not for me.
Well, so Holly, I know you have prepared something special. Let's just get right into it if that sounds good to you.
Okay, sure.
So I'm going to transfer you over to the other side here and
That's
take
where
it
I'm
away.
going, the other side.
Take it away, Holly Matson.
All right, guys. I know that many of the followers of this channel are more spiritually aware. I don't care whether you are or are not. I don't care where you are in that spectrum of woo woo versus earth based. None of that matters for this. It's a combined Reiki and meditation. And I want to briefly say, for those who don't understand how distance Reiki can possibly work, your Wi Fi router communicates perfectly with your various kinds of Wi-Fi equipment. It's the same thing. I'm acting as the channel, the Wi-Fi router, the lens to the sunlight to create a focus on whatever I'm focusing on. In this case, we're going to do this together, and I'm really excited. I'm going to go into my Reiki space, and you'll see my hands up because the chakras in the hands are the most powerful transmitters, and that's where the Reiki is transmitted. But I have a few things I'd like to invite you to do as well. So let's start with this. I want you to take a few deep belly breaths and get in your calm and happy place. You don't need to be watching me. Close your eyes, get into your happy place, and just be quiet for a moment, breathing. And I want you to focus on intention, because the world that we create is created by our intention. If you intend to focus on love and light, that's what you're creating more of. Breathing deeply, being quiet and still. So let's begin with asking you to think of your very, very favorite pet, living or deceased. If you don't have a pet, but know someone else's pet, know an animal that you deeply love, focus on that animal. If you don't have a specific animal you can think of a species or some other animal that you're attracted to. The point is to get into a love state with that animal. In your heart and your mind, think of what you most love, what you most appreciate about that pet. The best purr from a cat, the best snuggles from a dog, colorful feathers of a bird. It doesn't matter. Think of what you absolutely love the most about that animal. Continue to breathe deeply. And imagine yourself in a cloud of soft light. Picture the light around you like a big egg. And the light is love, because you are love. Focus again on that animal. If you can't think of an animal, use a human. It's all love. And I want you to imagine yourself being with that animal now. Look into their eyes and imagine with each breath there are wisps of the light surrounding you entering your pet. With each exhale, you're sending them more and more love and light. And gradually you notice that animal is also surrounded with a bubble of light and love. Let this light and love grow. Imagine that this bubble or egg now encompasses you and both or all of your pets, encompasses your home, surrounds your city, surrounds the whole area around your home, and surrounds each and every living being. Picture the light surrounding the trees, the plants, surrounding each bird, each squirrel, each rodent, all the wild animals, all the outside pets. And you watch as the light expands and becomes ever brighter, deeper and brighter. The light is growing. It's expanding upward. It's expanding outward. And you feel your own love from your own heart center expanding with it. The more love you send into the universe, the more love you're receiving back. And it's an endless cycle. Soon you can see that the bubble of light surrounds the entire planet. All the living beings of any kind on this planet. All the living beings, those sprung from the earth, those who live in the sky, those who live with humans, and those who do not. And this bubble of light is filled with healing and love. And each time that there is a new focus upon that bubble of light, it expands in depth and intensity and builds upon itself. So you slowly return to your own bubble of light. Slowly notice if there have been shifts in that egg or that bubble of light. Has it changed color, opacity, dimensions? There's no judgment at all. Just sense it and be aware of it. Because the more you sense it and feel it, the more you can call upon it every time you wish to experience or send love. Watch as this bubble of light slowly shrinks down encases your body, shrinks into a globe of light over your heart, shrinks into a pinprick light over your heart, and watch as it penetrates into the very center of your being. You can call on this light every time you wish. When you are ready, take a few more deep breaths, focusing on your heart light. Focus again on the sound of my voice. Focus on your body. Notice how you're seated. Feel the weight of your body in your seat. Wiggle your fingers. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and come back into the room. Thank you for joining me. I hope that was as good for you as it was for me.
Oh, that was lovely. That was absolutely beautiful. I hope it was good for
I
you
can
as it
see
was for
my
me.
face is all red because once the energy's flowing, I'm just flushed.
Yeah, and if and you guys go back after this is done, go back and look at her hands because it was getting pixelated over her hands.
Fun.
The actual camera was wiggling in those areas.
What I should note as well is even if you're listening to this in the future and not live, doesn't matter. Intention goes where intention goes. Reiki goes where Reiki goes. It's the kind of videos that I'm slowly posting. Here comes a plug. Slowly posting on my Patreon page that just set up. It doesn't matter. Just like with your own YouTube videos, it doesn't matter when you're watching this. You're still taking in the energy.
Right, right. And I want to give you a little plug as well, because obviously that was a very broad meditation for and very open ended. But obviously people have pets that have very specific needs, and you do work individually, and that's usually probably even more effective because it is so much more focused. Talk a little bit about that process, working with an individual.
That's where my joy comes in. I mean, I love what I just did, but I love one-on-one because I love connecting with the individual beings so much. And I'm often asked why my process is the process, and I'll explain briefly. When I connect with a pet parent, I don't like to call them owners because I'm not sure who owns whom. It's I always ask for a photo, face on, of the animal because that's how I connect. It's if I were with an animal live, I'd be looking in their eyes. And they need to look into mine. So energetically, that's exactly what's transpiring. We're looking into each other's eyes. And we have a preview conversation with the pet parent so that I can understand what their concerns, if there are any, or if they just want to bless the pet with feeling good, whatever the case may be. When I'm doing a session, I have no judgment. It's really, really important to not have judgment about the situation. But I connect on an energetic level, as I said before about Wi-Fi. I've created my focus for this animal, and I have my process that I go through to get in the right zone and to connect with them. And when I do connect, although I can almost always feel it, sometimes I get words. A lot of animal communicators talk about animals communicating with images and or whatever, feelings, emotions. It's different for every practitioner, and I don't consider myself a communicator, but it comes up in the process of doing this work. So I pay attention to any messages that the animal wants to either give me or their owners, or what they have to say about their own bodies. And everything that I do is energetic. When I'm doing the actual session on the animal, I make note of what I'm sensing in their body, in their aura, in their chakra systems, and I work through that with Reiki. And then I report back to the pet parent what kinds of things that I've found. And I love when I get a response that says, "Oh my God, you're right on," or I had one mutual friend of ours who reported that her ancient dog that I had worked on was walking straight the next day, so much so that a neighbor noticed. Sometimes it's a really quick response from the animal. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes there's no response. The How the energy is used is completely up to that animal. I can't I can't tell the animal any more than I can tell you, "Hey, you need to do this." No, doesn't work that way.
Right, right,
So how the animal uses the energy is up to them, but my intention is always for their best well-being.
right.
Does that answer your question in a very roundabout way?
Oh, it's the perfect answer because it's exactly how Jeshua healed. He came with intention, and he was there to deliver perfect love, and it was up for the other person to drink of that love and to take in that love and become part of that love. And the Book of John says there is no fear in perfect love, and that was the essence of how healing was done.
Right.
And you, Holly, you and I tread the healing grounds for a long time. We traveled all over this country doing healing sessions, and it's interesting because people will absolutely put faith in someone else to heal them, but they won't step into the reality. But the interesting thing is that for people, they have to believe the healing's happening no matter how it happens. Whether they believe that person can heal them, it's the belief that heals them. And I think with an animal, it's just natural.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just I feel energy. I'm going to drink of it. I'm going to bring it into my body.
There's no mind getting involved, which is
Right.
sometimes our downfall. And in fact, one thing that when I began this work, I thought that I was putting words into my own mind, but it's been a consistent thing now. Animals refer to this as the warm,
The warm.
which I
Oh,
love.
that's
Most
lovely.
of the time now, when I connect with an animal and I explain they might feel warm, they might feel tingles, who knows, you could feel anything. If I do a repeat session, they say, "Oh, good, I like the warm." And that just delights me. They're feeling what many of you may have felt during that meditation, or if you've had energy work done, you feel a warm. I just think that's fun.
Yeah, I love that, though warm. Because obviously fear can feel very cold. And fear to me is the basis of all ailment, and for the
Right,
most part.
right.
And a lot of times I think animals, and you answer this question for me: do animals take on their owner's fears?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Um, in a different way. I mean, their intellect isn't involved, but they know mommy doesn't feel the same. What's
Mm,
going on? And they
right.
start the way people do. They start kind of shrinking into themselves energetically and sometimes physically. Um, and so I always impress upon clients to not focus on the animal's issues, but focus on the desired outcome. That
Right.
came from my training, but it's also been a real big part of my own intention and what I've been sensing.
Right.
Um, don't focus on the negativity, the fear, whatever's going on with the animal, but instead focus on, I love to see when my pet blank.
Right, right, in perfect health and running around and playing, you know, um, and so I love it. I love this all because to me it's you know in the Bible it says that in my Father's house there are many mansions. I think there's many ways to the source from all different angles, and I like sharing with people who have different ways of doing it. But I think everything you're saying is exactly what's been taught. I mean, it's exactly what's been taught, and I just think it's interesting because you're doing everything that Joshua taught, but you are lovingly focusing it towards animals, which I think is just spectacular. And I know that you and I have a lot of information about, that the past life that I had and how we knew each other in various ways, and so I think it's interesting how you're bringing it full circle and bringing it to the.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
And I'm delighted that so much of what I do in this work is spirit driven. I mean, completely instinctive. Because when I'm going into that zone, like I did before to prepare for this session, I know I'm not one who needs to label my helpers. I don't need to label spirit guides and so forth, but I know they're there. We have one in common that I know that's very involved. It's not something that I'm spiritually or consciously aware of, but I always call in whoever wants to help with this because the more energy, the better. Hey, it's all a good thing.
Where two or more are gathered in my name, there so I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's a joy to know. It's like over time, the increase in confidence and the increase in connection with any animal is just exponential. And I love this work.
That's excellent. Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have the two of us at your beck and call. We are here to take any questions you have, either for me or for Holly, and we're gonna just share our thoughts and let us know what you think as well about all of what Holly just said and what we're discussing, and also give some feedback on what you just went through on this session. So we'll start looking for the chat board, and I don't see anything coming in yet. So Holly, is there anything you want to add?
Now that John, now I can see the chat board too.
Oh, there you go. Excellent, excellent. So Holly, is there anything you specifically wanted to chat about or add to this?
I'm curious to know how many people watching this but how many people are already aware of this kind of work with animals, like if they've consulted with practitioners in the past for animals outside of the medical veterinary field, which I'll add my usual caveat. None of this replaces vet care. Above all, this is a supplement. But it's just like my own views on natural supplements, energetic as well as like tablets or whatever. It's all good. It's anything that supports the animal in love is perfect.
So we had the one question is, do animals reincarnate?
Oh, yeah. I can give you a couple. There's no hesitation there. I've heard from many others, but I've had that experience. Very briefly, one of my experiences was a cat that I had in early teens, I would say, in my parents' house, that I was just so bonded to this cat. Caleb was this spunky, beautiful black cat. Mischievous. Oh, my word. And many years ago, I had a cat, which, John, you knew, my Millie cat was this tabby cat that I found at a rescue. And she was very mischievous, to say the least. And we were so bonded. This was my soul cat. I loved her. And Caleb had this odd habit when he was young of playing in the bathtub. And I've heard of other animals or other cats that do this. He loved the kind of squeakiness, the slipperiness of the bathtub. And he would get in there and start this kind of a thing, just running his claws on the side of the tub because it was fun. Well, I started to notice Millie was doing that. And I was in the bathroom one time, I don't remember, brushing my teeth or something, not looking at her, but aware that's what she was doing. And in my mind, I said, Millie, if you were Caleb before, stop doing that and get out of the tub. She stopped and got out of the tub.
Oh, nice.
And I knew it the minute that happened. It was just confirmation. There have been a couple of other circumstances. And even my mother, who didn't really know what she believed, she felt that way about one of our cats when I was growing up. She felt that was reincarnated. And I've heard from other animals.
Right. So our number one fan here, Jenny Brown, has hopped in here. I talk to my pets all the time. I tell them I love them all the time. Do you think they understand what we are saying?
Oh my God, yes. Now, let me, so far the answer to everything is yes. Let me qualify that. Saying and meaning can be two different things. Our pets get accustomed to our words, our voices, and they make those associations. But just like with the visualization you were doing in the meditation, they understand your energy. So if you get annoyed for some reason, they know it. And I know of someone who has a very annoying behaving cat because she expects the cat to be annoying and gets annoying. You asked for that, that's what you get.
What you sow, you reap.
Yes, they understand very much when you express love. The famous cat slow blink that they do, and mine love that. That's you speaking cat language to them. So whether you're using people language or not, they totally get it.
Right. Carmen here says, can you connect the pets on the other side? And I actually have a story about that one myself, actually. I had an amazing dog named Odin, and Odin was a 110-pound Rottweiler and the biggest lap dog in the world. And I got that dog when he was 2 weeks old, long before you're supposed to hand a dog out. This breeder handed out all these puppies for very immoral reasons. And I ended up bottle feeding and carrying that dog in my pocket and doing all that stuff. But after he ended up living to 12, which is very rare for a Rottweiler. They usually get 8 or 9, and he made it to 12 before he ended up with bone cancer. But I have had very visceral dreams where I go to a friend's house and I walk in the door and Odin is there in the door, and I'm shocked by the fact that he's alive, and I talk with him, and I'm like, end up taking him home with me because it's like, but and I've often felt that is just Odin visiting me from the other side and coming and saying, "Up, I'm still alive, I'm still around," I'm sharing that with you, so I think that's the story I have. But then this ties into what Donna asks here: can animals come to us in spirit form?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, same thing. Just anything that people are asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I don't have a lot of experience with that, and I don't see. I don't even hear. My gift, I guess you could say, is my clair, to use the common term. My clair is the knowing, the sensing. And there have been times in my life, especially as a child, where I had a sense of an animal spirit, but at the time, I didn't know anything about any of this. I don't have direct experience, but I know many people who do. And I have yet to be asked to do a reiki healing on a deceased animal. And I think I would probably refuse it, because why do they need reiki? They're already in unconditional love. Reiki is to balance a physical into a closer state to that. But I'm not going to waste a pet parent's money on offering something to an animal they don't need. They've already got it, as I say, because I haven't had direct experience, I can say that I know that this happens. I just don't have an experience to relate.
I love that perspective of why would they need it? Because they're already within perfection. They're already in that perfect state of love. And I love that whole idea. It's like, because it's like, that the goal really is to balance this while we're here physically. Ailment is here, ailment is not there. And right. Even they say the people who've crossed over, they might have crossed over at 90 years old, but when you see them on the other side, they're 30. Mm-hmm. All the elements of age even are gone on the other side. So it's because there is no age. I think it's really comes down a lot to in the physical world, what is your intention? And right. And if you put intention out towards healing, an animal's going to feel that, and they're gonna because they die, they live through their feelings. They're very, very feeling creatures. For instance, my 110-pound Rottweiler, when he first met a toddler, the toddler toddled into the room, and my dog looked at him, did not run over to them. He dropped on his belly and he crawled to them. And this is because he understood this is something I have to be gentle with, right? Another story, and this is a funny story, actually, really funny story. We were all sitting in the living room. It was around the holidays, and me and my wife at the time, which was wife number one, we're sitting there, and her parents were on the other side of the table, and my brother and his wife were there as well. And we're sitting there, and we're just talking. We're sitting around, and on the center of the table was a dish of individually wrapped hard candies. And we're all just sitting there talking, and suddenly in my peripheral vision, I see Odin coming into the circle in extreme slow motion. And I mean extreme slow motion. And he goes over and his chest hits the coffee table. And then his neck starts to stretch. He reaches out and he picks up one piece of individually wrapped candy in his teeth. And then he slowly backed up.
You don't see me.
And he understood he wasn't supposed to. He also understood that if he was moving slow, we probably wouldn't see him. He's going to sneak it, right? So that's intention on his part. He understood he's not supposed to do this. The other thing is, if I walk in, to give you how smart this dog was, he knew that he wasn't allowed on the couch in the living room because it was a brand new couch, and we didn't want the Rottweiler up there licking himself on the couch, right? And I came home and I opened the front door, and he was lying. Usually he'd run to the door to see me, and he was lying in the middle of the floor. And I walked in the door, and he just kind of glanced up at me. He didn't jump up to say hello. And I'm looking at him. I look over at the couch, and there was a wet spot on the couch. And I went over to put my hand on the couch, and the couch was still warm. Right? He heard me coming. He jumped off the couch, went somewhere else, and pretended he'd been there the whole time. Right? And this is how intelligent animals are. They understand, and they also understand that with Odin, if I looked at Odin with this look, his head would drop because he would know that intention. It wasn't words; it was intention. They read that feeling. They read that intention, and that to me is a huge. They come. I often talk about the masculine and the feminine energies and the feeling and the thinking, and they are all feeling. They all come directly from source. So that's beautiful. Let me jump over and see if there's anything else here. Yeah, that's what I feel the communication between me and my dog and cat, more to do with feelings and intuition and logic of the mind, exactly. I've heard we are animals before we reincarnate to humans, and once we have evolved to human, we don't usually reincarnate back to animals. Any thoughts on this?
I'm a Reiki practitioner. I don't have any thoughts on. I've never heard of that before.
I have thoughts on that. My thoughts on that are that I don't think there's a hierarchy. I don't think you come from low to high. I think that animals are no less than we are, and we can reincarnate into anything at any time. I don't believe in a hierarchical structure of spirituality. In fact, I believe that's New Age dogma. That idea of we have to have a hierarchy. I think we are all just one, and all of us are equal, and there is no hierarchy. That's my opinion. What do you think about that, Holly?
Makes sense to me. I know I'm far from a student on it, but I know that there are some Indian faiths, I think, that believe in levels like that.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, it doesn't fit me.
Right.
But do you.
Okay. Here's an interesting question for you, Holly. Question is, have you ever worked with a pet who has had trouble passing?
Ooh, good question.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's not all right. I'm stammering because it's like something I feel like I have to qualify. Yes, twice now I've worked with an animal who, upon working with them, I realized that there was something kind of holding them here. That one mutual friend had a very old dog, and she knew that she was nearing the end. The owner did. And she knew that the dog was starting to really suffer with physical ailments and pain and so forth. So I did work with this beautiful girl, and not with the standpoint, not with the focus of helping them pass by any means, and not even thinking about that, but working on balancing the body and finding any sore spots and balancing those. In the process of bringing ease to Dougie's body, and this is the one who I said was even noticed by a neighbor, within 2 weeks she had passed. And I'm hoping, of course I have no way of knowing, I'm hoping that the ease brought to her by the warm was part of that.
Right.
And I also worked with a cat that was in a similar kind of a situation, a good friend's kitty, and I saw this cat all the time, and I knew that he was very, very ill. He wasn't very old, but he was very ill. And one time I was able to, I say corner him, but I don't mean in a bad way. He just had no motivation to move anymore. So I sat on the floor with him and gave him, hands-on Reiki because I was there. And within a week, he was gone. And so I think that the process of Reiki kind of not only eliminates the physical ailments that keep the dog in their body or the animal in their body, but my own belief, not based on experience, but on knowing, is that deeper connection with spirit can allow the animal to let go and release and be at peace.
Right.
So there's never a thought of, let me help you pass. It doesn't work that way. But as I say, the ease in the body may facilitate that. Good question.
All right. So I have two. There's two here, but let's talk about this one because I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I'm real curious to see whether I'm right or not. My little Doxy Poo has a cyst on her lower eyelid. I think it's blocked eyelash. How do we make it disappear naturally?
See your vet.
Yeah.
I know that's the default answer, and that's not just something that I come to because it's what I'm supposed to say. I mean it. Reiki and energy work can work wonders on things like that. I'm not a natural healer. I mean, in terms of like a homeopathic or holistic vet, and you may want to look into that avenue. If your standard Western medicine vet is not resolving it, look into someone in your area that there are a lot, believe me, growing practices of holistic vets because they understand energy and they can work with that too. And in addition, support it with energy work.
Right.
It again, as I've said, it's not like I'm going to focus on this animal's eye because that's focusing on the issue and focusing on the balance in the body and allowing the body to heal itself.
Right. Right. Does it work the other way around? Do animals balance our energy?
Oh, yes, to that too. I told you just default to yes. I can say that in my own life with the animals that I've had, and especially the two that I have now. Let me use my Millie cat as an example, the one that I said I was so bonded with. I wondered why I would wake up during the night drenched in sweat. She'd sleep on my belly. And I always felt kind of, that feeling after a really good massage or a really deep energy healing. I would wake in the morning feeling all kind of melty. Well, I found out from a very gifted psychic that I was seeing about something going on at the time. And she said, by the way, did you know your cat's giving you Reiki during the night? Well, she obviously hasn't been trained on Reiki. That's a human thing. But she was energy healing every night. And the two girls that I have now, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't join us, when I've been tense or upset, especially the one will come and purr and purr and purr and purr. And you may have seen the theories if you're into cats that there have been measurements now on cats' purrs, and the frequency or vibration of the cat's purr is extremely healing to the human's physicality. I love that because those of us that are cat lovers already knew that, but now we have the science to back it up.
Right, right. Donna said something here, which I think I want to elaborate on myself. She said, "My animals keep me in the present state of being. Never walk 1,000-pound horse while daydreaming, because they don't daydream and see everything." For me, I would come home from a hard day's work, and I'd walk into someone so excited to see me, so loving, so caring, and it brought me right to that moment, right then and there. So being in the God moment, the I am moment, the present moment, is the gift of the animal. They
Yes.
come out there and, like, if I was upset, that dog would come over and lick me and make sure I was okay. And they are very, I'm here and I'm caring and I'm loving, and that present moment state is, as I call it, the God moment. Animals are the best at that, because that's the moment they live in.
Absolutely. And to me, that's part of that connectedness with the earth plane that I mentioned earlier. They are in the present moment. That's how they live every day in nature. Right now, in this present moment, I'm hungry. I'm going to find something to eat. Right now, in this present moment, I'm enjoying the breeze, whatever it might be. And I think they bring a lot of that to us.
Right. So, well, this has been lovely. But before we go, I would like to put out a unifying prayer for Ukraine, because I think that's really important. So just like that Reiki that you were feeling, that loving intention, and the animals, that loving intention that we all felt, I'd like all of you guys to take this moment, and I want you to think of something that made you smile today. Think of something that made you laugh today, and think about the idea of embracing Ukraine. Imagine Ukraine is arriving at the Hawaiian Islands, and they're being hugged, and leis are being laid around their neck, and they're being embraced with this loving, beautiful gesture of kindness and embrace, and being embraced by the world in a loving and caring way. And go ahead and open up. I'm going to do the same thing Holly's doing. I'm going to open up as well. And find that feeling, and focus on that positive feeling sensation. And when you focus on that feeling, think about this loving vibration that we're feeling. We are sending that to Ukraine as a peaceful harmony. And then I'm going to use that prayer that I used in the video the other day. Thank you, God, for the peace and harmony Ukraine is receiving. Amen. And think about it, and send it, and realize that we are embracing that country with the love of God. And we are not focusing on the atrocities. We're not focusing on a madman. We're not focusing on any of the things that the news is telling us. We're only focused on their peace and harmony, because that's what brings it into fruition, is that focus, that belief. We are creating peace and harmony in that part of the world, because we are creating a loving world that we can live loving in. And so here we have the opportunity to love ourselves and love them and bring it together as one. There is no distance. There is no separation. We can love them and empower them. And remember that love is far more powerful than fear. And fear gets loud because love is winning. And that's what is happening over there right now. Fear is getting loud because love is winning. And the more focus we can put on loving Ukraine, we only amplify the winning side. So I hope that you guys have all had a lovely Live Loving live stream today, and go out into the world and share this video, and share Holly Matson with the world. Holly Matson, why don't you tell everybody, where they can find you and all that stuff that you have to share.
Well, thanks. Website. I'm sure you'll probably put this in the notes for future viewers, but the website is Light Seeds by Holly, Light, lightseedsbyholly.com. As I said, I just opened up a new Patreon page, and that's linked on my website as well. You can also find me on Facebook at Light Seeds by Holly. And if you have any questions about what I do or how I do it, again, just look at the website. I'd be glad to talk with anybody. I'd love to have conversations. And so you're welcome to contact me.
Lovely. And ladies and gentlemen, it has been, believe it or not, an hour. And we are coming to the end of this this moment in time that we've spent together, sending positive, loving energy to our pets, sending positive, love energy to Ukraine, and to jump on. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say her name. Narajus. He said, "Brain creates polarized good and bad. Heart creates a reality of unity, oneness." You know, Shakespeare said, "There's nothing good nor bad, but thinking makes it so." So think good thoughts. Think positive thoughts. Think loving thoughts. Think that reality into our world, and so be it, which is the translation of amen. So you guys have a great and lovely day, and we will talk to you next Sunday on the Live Loving live stream. See ya. Thank you for joining us for the Live Loving live stream. Don't forget to spread the love by liking, subscribing, and sharing.